Begins with a fresh shot of espresso. Bold, rich, pulled just right. Then comes the milk, steamed smooth, creamy, and balanced. The perfect latte is not rushed. It is crafted, one cup at a time. Your perfect latte is ready. Coffee first, then everything else.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm DJ Moises, and today's conversation is brought to us by Coffee First. In just a matter of days, one tragic incident has triggered questions that reach far beyond Tacloban City. Should violent video games be banned? Are online platforms doing enough to protect children? Or are we looking for a simple solution to a far more complicated problem? Today, we look deeper and think better. Let's begin with the timeline. Everything started with a tragic school shooting in Tacloban City. As investigators pieced together what happened, reports surfaced that one of the suspects had played the game Gorebox, a sandbox game known for graphic violence. Was the game merely something the suspect happened to play? Or did it somehow contribute to the tragedy? These questions quickly became part of national conversation. The Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, or CICC, temporarily blocked access to Gorebox in the Philippines. Officials emphasized that the move was precautionary. But later, the agency clarified that the ban is not necessarily permanent. Instead, it will remain until the game's developer introduces stronger safeguards, including better age verification and protection for minors. The focus, they said, is child safety. The discussion soon expanded. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla called for Congress to study a permanent ban on violent video games. Soon after, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said he was open to restrictions or even a ban, provided the decision is supported by evidence and expert recommendation. Then, Senator Risa Ontiveros, who chairs the Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, Gender Equality, announced that the committee is reopening its inquiry into child safety in digital spaces. The committee is not focusing solely on violent video games. It is examining online grooming, sexual exploitations of children, online radicalizations, and whether digital platforms are doing enough to protect minors. One of the resource person invited to the hearing was Felix Philip, founder of the developer of Gorebox, an independent game development studio based in Germany and the creator of the said video game. Philip said he was heartbroken by what happened in Tacloban. He also committed that he would cooperate with Philippine authorities with their investigation within the bounds of applicable law. However, Felix Philip did not attend the Senate inquiry. 2 months before the campus attack, Roblox, another online game, was actually almost banned in the Philippines. The first to raise the alarm were again parents, and the conversation touched on grooming, the process where a malicious adult manipulates minors using online platforms, befriending them, gaining their trust, and eventually exploiting them for abuse, trafficking, or extortion. But the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, later announced that Roblox could stay. This was after Roblox executive vowed stricter safeguards, improving monitoring and reporting mechanism, and age-appropriate content controls. According to Dr. Rafael Henry Legaspi, a psychiatrist at the University of the Philippine General Hospital, or UPPJH, there is still no established causal link between video game and real-world aggression. He said the connection also has not been proven, even in the United States, which has the extensive history of gun violence. In fact, Japan and South Korea also have very strong gaming culture, yet post some of the lowest gun homicide rates in the world. What happened in Tacloban, Legazpi said, may be more about easy access to guns, not gaming. Meanwhile, a consultant at the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Division, still with UPPGH, Dr. Constantine Yu Chua said it is possible for minors to be indoctrinized or radicalized by the game itself, but through their interaction with other gamers or strangers online. Online games allow players to communicate with one another. For example, in Roblox or other online games where apart from playing the game, they're also able to talk with adults from other countries. That's when they get indoctrinized or radicalized. However, Yuchua also said that blaming online games for Tacloban shooting suspects acts may be like a very superficial solution. Paulo Bago, a longtime esports professional, did not deny that radicalization of minors can happen while playing online games, but it is not the content of the game that is radicalizing. It's who the children interact with. And if you recall, this is similar to Yuchua's point of view. He also added, it is irresponsible and premature to conclude that a video game was the main cause. Now, where should we draw the line? Should government ban violent video games? Should digital platforms be held to higher standards? Are stronger safeguards enough? Or are we trying to solve a complex problem with a single solution? Those are the questions we will unpack today. And by the way, for our viewers, if you have comments or questions, or if you wish to participate in the conversation, no, please drop your comments in the comment section. And I'm opening actually the live as we speak so that the goal is for me to be able to spot your questions or comments, no, as we move forward. Now, my first comment, no, about this issue. A tragedy involving children should never become a contest of political positions. So please, let's not politicize an important issue such as this. Kay mairog ang ato ang focus from looking at a solution. Okay, daghan na kaayong nanakay. And it's sad because I could actually see quite a number of politicians na nisakay na gyud in tawon, no? I'm fine, no, if musakay sila as long as mopliti sila. Ang sad lang nako nga part is because nanakay lang yun sila, period. So if kaning mga content creators / politicians ba, they are just here for the ride, palihog lang kanaog na mo, no? Because this is conversation for people who would want to find solutions and implement the solutions. No? This is not for people and nga naalang din for the clout, or politicians lang yun na nagsakay-sakay lang yun because nag-apil-apil lang mo sa noise, no? Instead of looking for the solutions. And I'm sorry if I'll have to digress a bit, no? Kita pud na mga voters ba, worry pud ta aning mga politicians bitaw na kanang how lang ang ilang contribution basta maka-content lang. Because I think there are even content creators who do better job than them, no? Kang ila comment lang, kanang sakay-sakay lang, kunwari na sila gibuhat na action steps, but in reality wala man. And para i-elevate na to ang ato ang voter critical thinking ba when we look at politicians, in the first place, ang mga leaders gyud, they're supposed to see more than what we can see. So kung ang ilang gipang advance diha nga content sa social media are just things that we already know, then di sila leader, their followers, or worse, ni take advantage ng gyud in tawon. So let's be more wary about this type of politicians. Now that said, I will recognize that this is every leader's concern, no? Every parent, every teacher, every policymaker, no? Because kitang tanan, no? Everyday Filipinos, everyday Cebuanos, kitang tanan, we want to solve this issue and to solve this issue for good, so that no more kids, no, will have to go through the ordeal, and no more families of kids also who will have to go through this ordeal. But let us remember that good intention alone is not enough. No? We need good policy and good governance. So, it is a reasonable question, no? If people more and more are now asking whether ang video games should have a stronger safeguard, no? And it is, yes, it is a reasonable expectation that technology companies should be more mindful, no, about age restrictions, about age verification, about parental controls, and to have greater accountability in the digital platform. So wala ko'y problema ana. In fact, I'm glad that we are surfacing this conversation para we can improve the gaming system, no? But let's also kanang put into context katong input earlier sa katong mga experts nato in the field of kanang child psychology, no, and even on the field also of online gaming. Ang radicalization may be because of the people that they interact in the game, but it's not the game itself, no. Kato good stat to siya nga Japan and South Korea, they have a very strong gaming kanang culture, and part of that are actually the games that our kids are also playing. But nganong mubo man ang ila ang gun related violence or incidents? So there may not be an exact or absolute correlation. Now, in the context, and this is also where tanaw ko, no, this is also where na kanang I'm hoping na some of our viewers would also comment. The Philippines is not the only country that has officially Philippines as of this time is the only country that has officially restricted kanang gore box, no? And this was when the CICC imposed a temporary ban on the game on June 2026. But Russia already also kanang blocked, no, in another online game, dili Gorebox, but Roblox was already blocked, no, in Russia. And prior to the blocking, this was Russia's most downloaded mobile games. But their concern actually is more on the inappropriate content, no, that can impact a child's spiritual and moral development, because some of them would also are concerned about LGBTQ plus leaning, no, in some of the content, no. And then specific to role kanang other gaming gihapon, which is Roblox, it also went through scrutiny in Singapore in 2023, no, after government recognized that there was a radicalized teenager, no, that has joined ISIS-themed servers on the platform. However, gilihok po din siya diretso by Roblox, no, because in December of last year, Roblox announced that it would stop allowing children to chat with other strangers, no, after long-standing criticism of this, no. And again, as what the experts would say, it's not the game itself, no. The danger of radicalization or possibly the danger of being influenced, it's really the adults, no, the other adults that children could be playing, could be chatting with, no, as the game is progressing. And that's where the risk is, no. So that's why there's good benefit, no, if we have stronger conversations around safeguard, around protection of minors, around better age verification. But it is not necessarily reasonable to attribute the whole Tacloban shooting to just violent video games, no? Millions of people around the world play the same games, no? But the overwhelming majority there did not commit crimes, no? Let's take that into context. I'm not saying na it's completely, absolutely okay. I'm not saying that. But statistics will tell us there are millions of players around the world who are also into these games. But the overwhelming majority, no, are not necessarily did not become criminals, no. So youth violence, no, is rarely explained by a single factor. So that's where I was coming from. Na usahay ang kaning mga leaders na to moderecho din sila assume because they also or musakay sila sa issue because they think it's the popular thing to say. But I think this is also a good time for them to do their homework. I'm not saying that kaning ilang actions na gipang implement karon are wrong, but what I'm just saying is maybe kinahanglan nilang huna-hunaon further, no? Rather than diretso lang sila sakay sa jeep nya di mo bayad sa plite, no? Now, the other thing also that I have to emphasize, no, because parents have responsibility also to know what their children are playing and who they are interacting, no. Murag kanang this is a very fundamental thing actually, and in fact that's the reason why when we went to school, among the definitions that we early definitions that we learned is family is the basic unit of society. It's mainly because naagid unta dapat diha ang supervision, naunta diha ang discipline, naunta diha ang value formation, no? Before iasa na to ang bata sa school, sa community, no, o sa Pilipinas, no. So I also hope that the parents who are watching, this is also a good time for us to assess and ask ourselves ba, how are we in terms of our influence, no, with our children? And where are we, no, in terms of actually knowing what they are doing online and who they are interacting with, no? Now, technology companies, I've also kanang mentioned earlier, have the responsibility to build a safer platform and strengthen kanang possession of minors. And yes, government also has the responsibility to craft policies that are grounded on evidence. Evidence, no? Not just emotion. Now, some people were asking kung unsay reaction pod nato adtong katong move, no, in the municipality of Dumanhog, no, announcing the prohibiting na gyud of bringing or using mobile phones in public. Well, I've seen reports nga kanang it actually created a good environment kay murag nibalik ta sa the good old days, no, the good side of the days, no, when technology was not much of an interference. So mas magdula ang bata sa gawas, which is good, mas magstorya ang mga bata with each other, which is also good. And then kabalo man sad ta nga technology and mobile phones and the app that we have in our mobile phones can also be distracting. So it's a good exercise also that once the students are already in school, their focus is about learning, no? And interaction with their teachers and their students. So there's a positive side to it. But ang caution lang nako pod is nabiya po'y positive side pod ang technology because this is also the direct access, no, of parents to be able to communicate with their children, no. At the same time dako pod natabang biya pod ang cellphone o ang mobile phones o technology when it comes to emergencies, no. So kanang napoy nawala pod sa mga bata. So that's where I was coming from, that I see the spirit of banning the bringing of mobile phones in school. I see the effect, but I would hope that after that step, our leaders would also continue to look for solutions, no, because kung nag-expect nga if we prohibit them from bringing cell phones, they will not be vulnerable to violence or they will not commit violence. Murag taphaw ra pud kay siya nga understanding, no, of the problem, because violence is a product of many causes, not just mobile phones, or not in this context also not just mobile games, no. So So I think I would like to close this commentary ba nga at this time nga naanatay kanang digital access, and it's good for people to have access to technology because that's where the world is moving, no? If we don't give access to technology to our children, for example, then mabilin pud sila, no, as the world is moving forward. So I think what we need to focus more now, aside from, I'm not saying not, aside from digital access, it's actually digital discipline, no? That's where we actually need to empower, no, our children. If we go back na begid tay katong kanang timeless principle, no, nga we don't fish, no, for people, we teach them how to fish. So ang atua pod is we cannot be always present, no, 100%, no, in every move of the child under our care. So I think let's rather empower them, no, to be more discerning. Let's be present in their lives. Let's be engaged in their activities. Because I think naadiha ang dako-dako nga solution, no? Because if a child is actually cared for at home, then the likelihood for the child to be a bully somewhere ba would be minimized, no? So whether it's a total ban or a more flexible policy, I'm not saying now we can already decide about it now, no, but what I'm just saying is let's look deeper and think better, because success will not ultimately depend on just one rule that we impose, no, but in my view, it's really on the values that we teach. Because one day, these students will leave the classroom. They won't always have their teachers watching over them or school policies to guide them. They will have to make, eventually, they will have to make responsible choices on their own. So our goal, therefore, is not simply to regulate technology. It is to help the younger generation develop the wisdom and the discipline to use it well. Let's not forget also that the family remains the basic unit of society. Long before children learn from teachers, social media, or smartphones, they learn from their values they see and experience at home. No school policy can replace parental guidance. No technology can substitute for meaningful conversations at home. And no ban can take the place of parents who are present, engaged, and involved in their children's lives. Digital discipline is already just as important as digital access. But digital discipline begins long before a child walks into a classroom. It begins at home. So I'm DJ Moises. Thank you to Coffee First for supporting conversations that matter. This is Beyond the Headlines. Let's look deeper and think better. Have a good afternoon.
It starts with a fresh shot of espresso. Bold, rich, pulled just right. Then comes the milk, steamed smooth, creamy, and balanced. The perfect latte is not rushed. It is crafted, one cup at a time. Your perfect latte is ready. Coffee first, then everything else.